Hola, everyone, and welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host, Café con Leche, every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. First up, artist and philosopher Dr. Jessica Rodríguez-Colón is here to talk about her new book, Displacement of Mothers in 21st Century U.S. Films, Impact on Maternal Identities of Other Subjectivities. And then photographer Nicole Tung joins us to share her new exhibition at the Bronx Documentary Center titled Overfishing in Southeast Asia, and Ecological and Human Crisis. And after that, dancer and actress Ilda Mason joins us to share her role in the 5-time Tony Award-winning musical Buena Vista Social Club. And finally, our Open Artist Spotlight shines on songwriter, performer, poet, and actor Marcus Stokes, who's closing out the show with a performance of one of his original poems titled Nostalgia Ultra. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your hosty Café con Leche for the next hour, inviting you to get social with us online. That is, follow us on Instagram at Bronxnet TV or like us on Facebook at Open Bronxnet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget to follow moi on FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, Threads, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So my first guest has over 25 years experience as a dancer, choreographer, and multidisciplinary artist. As a professor at School of Visual Arts and Lehman College, she supports artists throughout their residencies and teaches Puerto Rican culture. Her research, which has been presented internationally, examines the maternal kinesthetic language and critically analyzes the societal prescription of motherhood and how aesthetic representations influence maternal performances. In her recent book, Displacement of Mothers in 21st Century U.S. Films, Impact on Maternal Identities of Other Subjectivities, long title, she introduces the gaze economy theory to examine how films exclude, misrepresent, or displace marginalized mothers. And here to share more about her work and her recent book, please welcome Dr. Jessica Rodríguez-Colón.
Thank you.
Hi, and welcome. And whew, very long title. But I get that you're very intentional about the messaging that you're putting out into the world as far as I guess, studying our bodies in that form, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about your background as an artist first so that we can kind of show the merge that you've become in being, earning this doctorate in merging the artistry with the philosophy and of course, focusing on the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I started as I was studying theater back in Puerto Rico. And then I found myself fully merging into contemporary dance. When I got the first opportunity to choreograph for Hincapié, a company, a troupe by director and choreographer, Cuban choreographer Petra Bravo, I was pregnant for the first time. So innately, without me realizing, every piece that I choreographed since that moment on, it was a character of mother, a type of mother that I have embodied at some point in my maternal life. And that one thing led to the other, to the master's, to the PhD, while mothering. And all those experiences just continued to pile up.
And so what was the thought process behind you really doing the deep dive that you've done in just having a better understanding of how mothering in its different depictions has influenced our own self-belief systems.
I guess, and I that's how the book starts. During the baby shower of my first pregnancy, my friend's mom, her name is Mercedes, we were preparing the piscolabis for the baby shower, and she was like, you know, birthing hurts, but it's not like what they show on TV. You don't have to be like screaming and like in excruciating pain. It's a pain that your body will know. You can adapt to it. And then the two choreographers that I was working at the time were like, you're a dancer, you know your body. Like, yes, it hurts, but your body will know what to do. Like, you don't have to shift who you are because of the pregnancy. And I think those three very powerful advices from these wonderful women who also happen to be mother set up the full stage, I guess, for my whole maternal way of approaching what I see versus what I'm experiencing, and focusing on my embodiment. And when it comes to film culture, then it was, you know, it was tied in hands. It's not what they show, it's not what it is.
Right.
I can decide what it is.
Right.
And then through maternal philosophy and combining both, it was then how do I put it together for other mothers, especially younger mothers, to know what you see is not what you have to be. You can decide what kind of mother you want to be.
And so in going through your work, like you said, all of a sudden mothering, everything related to mother it's kind of like influenced everything you do. Like I know we have some images, and I hope we'll be able to show them, of like women holding their bellies, right? So I'm assuming that was a theater production.
It was a performance piece as part of Immersion YC program. And this piece in particular, it took about 20 minutes. As the audience was coming in, we started just with bras and just on our underwear. There's different bodies, different genders, and we wrap up our belly. But the idea was that each person at their own pace will cover their face, sort of like removing a mask, touch their belly. And they will have different things from I created that creature, I stopped creating that creature, I blank that creature, whatever it meant for them. And the goal was that motherhood should not be imposed, it should be chosen, whatever. And creature comes from criatura, how we sometimes speak about in Latino culture about the young children. And but the focus is that it's a choice, that it should be a choice.
And so the next image that we have,
that one was about breastfeeding.
And that's a breast pump, right?
Yeah. And that one was about back then, this was, if I'm not mistaken, 2012 or 2013, there was a huge controversy between the moms that breastfed and the moms that bottle fed. And it was like, they used to call it back then the mommy war. About the choices that we make.
Right.
And the whole piece is putting in context both the economic part of bottle feeding, but also the economic and choice between bottle feeding and breastfeeding.
And then if we could just show one more image, I think we have, yes. Yeah, this one really fascinated me because I was trying to understand the narrative in it, what the material meant. So can you enlighten us?
There's three different layers of clothing underneath. Each one of them represents a different mother in my maternal life. And it is a performance. This was performed at Bags back in 2016, I believe. And it explores, I'm talking about my maternal line, and I'm talking again about the choices that we make as mother, but also how other mothers that we have seen influence the mother that we are, whether it is because we want to be them or whether it is because we don't want to become them. At the end of the piece, I put on what represents my great-grandmother, and that's how the piece ends, while singing, standing on a rocking chair.
Right, and so again, these are different art forms in which you're conveying this message that you've done a really deep dive into, to the point that your philosophy, and please educate me because I've never heard of the gaze economy. Really dissects it in such a way that very cerebral, but because I'm a mother and I really understand what it is that you're saying, it's just a lot to ingest, but it's definitely something that I don't know if we are necessarily or organically consider. And so you're bringing into light these other layers, right? So we're looking at this gaze map now, and I know you actually do presentations on it. So in as succinct as possible, can you give us an overview?
So in this map, what I'm showing is the different ways in which other theories have analyzed the gaze, from economic aspects of economics to the social and cultural aspect as film theory. We're more commonly known, we know more that. So what I'm saying is, like, it's not just one, especially for mothers. All of them come together, all these different moments in which we are gazing at each other, but also in the way in which I gaze people that I don't even know. And the judgment that we also start building up. So with the gaze economy, what I'm proposing is the gaze economy is influenced by economics, by what the media shows, by what governments decide to display it on their advertisements, PSAs, but also by us just walking in our community. All those different are part of like the political economy also in which we relate to each other. And the idea is, like, if we start being more aware of it, we can also be more actively rejecting some of them.
Right. Yeah, it's a form of mindfulness. It's a form
We
of
can see
mindfulness.
it.
Right. And there's a whole chapter on that, by the way, right? And it actually caught my attention. And so I do want to share with our viewers, before our time is up, the purpose and the reason and why you were drawn to draft this into a book, right? Because you mentioned before coming on air that this is your dissertation.
It is a heavily revised version of my dissertation. So it took me probably 4 to 5 years watching over 500 films, which are the most the 25 top grossing films from each year, from 2000 to 2019. And then mapping what is shown out there, how many characters of mother, leading, non-leading characters, and then looking at the narrative and what it's actually portrayed.
Right. And what we receive as the messaging.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. That's what the whole thing is about. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for bringing
Thank
it
you.
here. Everybody, Dr. Jessica Rodríguez-Colón, and once again, her book, Displacement of Mothers in 21st Century U.S. Films, Impact on Maternal Identities of Other Subjectivities, can be found on Amazon or wherever books are sold. I wish we could have dived in further, but the idea is to give you a taste of the insight that she provides. So if you're interested in more information on Dr. Jessica, you can visit jeccarodriguezcolon.com, and stay tuned. There's more open when we return.
We are the eco leaders. We learned that everything starts with ourselves. Then we have to educate ourselves. Then we have to build community and use our imagination.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open. Our next guest is here to discuss her new exhibition, Overfishing in Southeast Asia, presented by the Bronx Documentary Center in partnership with Foundation Carmignac, exposing the human costs and fragility within the seafood supply chains. Her 9-month investigation delves into the highly opaque Southeast Asian fishing industry, an area where access is often restricted. She examines emerging responses like marine protected areas and community based economic initiatives, critically questioning their endurance against escalating pressures on oceans and the reliant communities. And it's no coincidence that the exhibition will take place near the Fulton Fish Market in Hunts Point, the largest wholesale fish market in the United States. Everyone, please welcome photographer Nicole Tung. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Rhina.
Well, thank you for being with us virtually. I understand you're traveling abroad. You're over there in the UK, so thank you for taking a moment to share this journey with us. Let's introduce your work to everyone first, because I understand you come under this title of capturing conflict reporting.
Yes, so normally what I focus on is related to conflict and documentary photography. I do a lot of feature stories in and around conflict and war. I've spent the better part of the last 4 years in Ukraine as well as Syria, Iraq, and many other places documenting conflict.
And so, this particular project, with regards to Southeast Asia, like what drew you to it, and how much time did you spend in its entirety?
So I had read a book called Outlaw Ocean by a writer named Ian Urbina a few years ago, and it just drew me in because of this very kind of dark underworld that we don't really often think much about or much less know about. And then when Foundation Carmignac had this theme for last year to apply for a grant, I decided to apply for it because it was something I was really curious about, something really interesting to me. And so I applied and was accepted for the grant, and they supported me throughout the project. I had a total of 9 months. I spent 6 months in the field in Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines, photographing different communities and also exploring different issues related to overfishing. So the first 3 months, I did some research before hitting the ground.
And so, we're going to take a look at some of those photos just so that we can share with our viewers what we're talking about, and then we can dive a little deeper into why you chose these particular locations. Yeah. So, what are we looking at now? The fish heads.
Yeah, so these are images. This picture is from a cold storage warehouse in a area where a lot of fish are brought in from commercial fishing vessels, and it's kind of showing one of these very common species that are consumed in Thailand. Now, the issue in Thailand is that a lot of the fish stocks near to the shore have been depleted over many decades because of industrial fishing methods. A lot of bottom trawling, which takes place, is very ruinous to the environment. And so that's caused a lot of pain and hardship for local small scale fishermen because there are no longer it's not as abundant in the kinds of fish that they used to catch. They have to now go further from the shore, spend more money on fuel to, of course, use for their boats. And really, the Thai fishing industry has changed a lot in the last 10, 11 years. It used to be this poster child for sea slavery, bad practices in the fishing industry. There were a lot of multiple investigations back in 2014, 2015 about the treatment of workers on board these commercial fishing vessels. And in essence, slaves were catching, seafood that was being exported to around the world. And now that has shifted because of the laws that have changed, but now that's kind of shifted to Indonesia, where a lot of that is quite common practice in a different way.
And so we have more images that I would love for us to share with our viewers so that we can talk a little bit about these injustices that are happening right underneath our eyes. And we really don't even know anything about it over here, honestly. Yeah, so what are we going to look at now? Are these the ships we're talking about?
No, so this is actually an indigenous community that I visited on an island, also in Thailand. They, very fishing is really in their blood. They're an indigenous group, and they have spent generations fishing and plying these waters around their islands. But now, because, as I mentioned, of the depleted fish stocks, they have no longer, kind of this abundance of fish, and their livelihoods have had to shift to uh, tourism. So a lot have become tour guides for visitors to, in essence, to survive and to try to make some sort of living because they can no longer rely on fishing.
Right, but it seems like everything that they do is surrounded by the field of water, right? Everything they do, whether it's food or, like you said, the tourism and even the markets. I saw an image that you also captured of like it's a beautiful, colorful image. I mean, I know you're capturing the story, the narrative of what's going on there, but I wondered if we have that image to display as well. And what I was, I guess, captivated by is again the deception of appreciating the color in and just what you've captured because it's definitely mesmerizing, but the story behind it isn't as colorful.
hmm Yeah, and so this image was taken in Indonesia, also on an island called Lombok, which is the main hub for shark fishing. And a lot of sharks that are fished probably in Australian waters illegally by Indonesian fishermen are brought here and then, cut up, dried, and sent to other parts of the world. A lot of the fins, of course, go to China, where this is a delicacy, and things like their cartilage and bones are used in cosmetic products as well. So a lot of times, I think this project, it speaks to a larger issue of transparency in the fishing industry. I also went to the Philippines and documented a huge tuna fishing port. It's called General Santos, and it's the kind of the Philippines tuna capital. And a lot of this tuna, it's in abundance. It's yellowfin and skipjack tuna that we often consume out of cans and things like that. But we don't know often where it comes from, how it's fished, and really the sustainability of this particular species because it's under a lot of pressure because of the demand. And really, what that comes down to is over demand and unchecked consumer demand. So knowing where our seafood comes from is more ideal, just so that we're questioning where it's caught, how it's caught. A lot of seafood, including what's called trash fish, which is like this tiny fish that are kind of worthless, not valuable for sale really, is brought in, and it's used to make fish meal, and that goes into pet food in the U.S. and Europe. That goes into fish meal for fish farms that makes up a lot of U.S. Seafood as well.
Is that the image of the young lady sitting? I thought they were sardines. Is that image?
Yes, so this is also Thailand. She is a Burmese migrant worker. A lot of the Thai fishing industry rests on migrant labor, and they're not often very fairly treated because the work has no contract. It's very ad hoc work. It's only when they're ships that come in that they have some sort of work. They're usually the wives of those fishermen who are on board.
And then before we go, I also want to talk about the image of the vet. I'm assuming it's a vet with the turtle because again, we're talking about the health of the ocean.
Yes, so the vet is treating a turtle that was had its front flippers amputated, and it was because it got entangled in what's called ghost nets. So these are nets that are thrown away or left behind by fishermen in the sea, and of course the wildlife get tangled up in these nets, and sometimes they drown, sometimes their blood circulation gets cut off and they can't get themselves out of it, and then some people will find them, or fishermen will find them and bring them to the center to get them treated.
So, wow, I mean, in your reporting on and the way you've captured, what did you learn from all of this?
I learned that the fishing industry as a whole, and no matter where in the world it is a very opaque industry, and it's because a lot of what happens on ships and how fish is caught is done out of sight of the public. It's in the deep ocean. It's a lawless place, very hard for law enforcement to govern and to patrol these places. So a lot of what happens on board is is criminal activity in a lot of cases, and sometimes it's not even illegal fishing that happens, it's legal overfishing. So you might have ships that have the right to fish in certain waters, but it's the volume that we're taking out of the ocean that cannot be replaced fast enough, for the stocks to be replenished. And this is really where the problem lies.
Hence the title of your exhibition, Overfishing. Thank
Yes.
you so much for bringing it here to us, Nicole Tung, everyone, photographer. And once again, the exhibition Overfishing in Southeast Asia, presented by the Bronx Documentary Center and the Foundation Carmignac, is on view from March 20th through April 26th at the Bronx Documentary Center, which is located at 614 Van Cortlandt Avenue in the Bronx. For more information, you can visit bronxdocumentarycenter.org. And also, for more information on Nicole Tung, you can follow her on Instagram at Nicole Tung. All right, stay tuned. There's more open when we return. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open. So my next guest has an impressive career as a dancer, an actress on screen and on stage. She was born and raised in Panama, where she began her acting career in productions such as Peter Pan, The Beauty and the Beast, A Chorus Line, and Hello Dolly. She debuted on the big screen in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, and her first Broadway appearance was also in West Side Story. Her TV credits include The Equalizer and Saturday Night Live. However, it is her latest role in the off-Broadway production of Buena Vista Social Club as part of the ensemble and understudy for young Omara and young Aide that caught the attention of critics and Broadway fans. Let's take a look and see what all the buzz is about.
There's a music studio in Odawara. Right now, you and I are 1,000 miles away. But a sound like this, it tends to travel.
I need to sing them. Young man, you might know my music, but make no mistake, you do not know me. There's this place in Marianao. We're playing there tonight with as much feeling as we want.
What's this place called?
The Buena Vista Social Club.
It's not your fault. The world made us take sides.
Eso! Ouch! That makes me want to get up and dance. Actually, I was dancing in my chair, but I'm here to share more about the Buena Vista Social Club and what it's like to be part of a 5-time Tony Award-winning show. Everyone, please welcome dancer and actress Ilda Mason. Oh. I know, I still got the music in my ear.
It was so good. We're all dancing.
That's why we got to go to the show.
Exactly, you have to.
Although sitting throughout that show is very challenging.
Yes.
It's a challenging task. So welcome and thank you for making time to come all the way up here to the Bronx.
Thank you so much for having me. I now live in the Bronx, so I'm very happy to be here.
Even more exciting. Yay! All right. So, okay, let's first talk about how long you've been involved with this production.
Yes. I've been involved since 2023, since the off-Broadway production.
Wow.
Which I can't believe it's already been 3 years.
Wow.
Time flies.
Wow.
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, this is a big deal because it's been on Broadway, like 400 shows in?
Yes, yes. Which is just counting since opening, not counting a full month of previews or our off-Broadway run at the Atlantic Theater. So,
nice. Very nice.
yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, so I can't imagine what it must feel like to just party every single night.
It's incredible. It's an honor. It's a gift to dance to such an iconic music, to the rhythm of such maestros. Musicians that we have. We are so blessed. And to dance such intricate choreography by Patricia Delgado and Justin Peck, it's a true joy. It's a party.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, que vida.
Yeah,
Que vida,
I
right?
know. We're
Yeah.
really fortunate and grateful.
Brava, brava. Congratulations on that.
Gracias.
Yeah. And so, all right, so you are part of the ensemble, but you're also the understudy for the young Omara.
Yes.
And Aide.
Yes.
Right? Y son hermanas.
Sí.
Right.
Sí, sí,
So
sí.
how many times have you graced the stage performing any of those characters or both? I mean, obviously not at the same time, right?
Not at the same time. That would be a really fun show. I haven't been counting, but I think it's been maybe 10 times. Not that many in like 400 shows. But I get to live a bit of the best of both worlds. I get to dance and act and interpret these two very important sides of the story. The Cubans who stayed and the ones who left. It's a very intricate and felt, like heartfelt moment for these sisters, and that's a little bit of what we see in the show.
All right, so I know that you play the young Omara, right? And I think we have images of that. So I would love for you to give us a narrative of the imagery that we're about to share with our viewers, so that they can have a better understanding of the story and why it's on Broadway and why it's so important to share our stories on this level.
Oh my God, 100%. Okay, so this is our beautiful star, Isa Antonetti. She plays young Omara, actually. She is, I love that it says a star on the rise. She is a star. It's incredible to listen to her every single night and to embody her, study her, and witness her incredible talent. She is so beautiful.
And the story of Omara leading into Compay, because look, we're basically trying to show everybody the story, I guess, what they're going to experience and why this particular story was chosen to be presented on this scale.
Well, I think it's always a good time to bring Latinx stories to big stages. It had been 10 years since we had a Latino-centered story, which was On Your Feet.
Right.
And so now we have this story about these Cuban musicians and about this incredible album that took over the world in the late 90s. And people have been moved by this music for so long and have such incredible stories, like the people that come to the theater and the ones that we're lucky enough to meet at the stage door, the stories that they share with us about their experience with the music, how they grew up listening to it, or how they have it as a part of their lives. I don't want to go too specific into that, but it's part of our DNA.
Right. It's like classics, and it's nostalgic. It's nostalgic.
Yeah,
for those who are familiar with the music. I'll be honest, I know the music, and it's not even my era.
Oh no! People, you would be surprised at how many people who are not even Latino have grown up with this music. That's the power of music. And that's why it's at the center of our show.
And so we started narrating the story with regards to Omara, and then we showed the Compay.
Yes.
And I think we have more. Okay, so share a little bit. Again, I want them to familiarize themselves with the narrative, right?
Okay.
These are the young version of the actual Buena Vista Club.
Yes, so we have...
Social Club, Buena Vista Social Club.
Yes, so we have a story of the artist that brought the album to life, right? And so we have their story divided
would that be
between...
the Compay?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the not so young version
Right, that's the older
Compay
version.
Yes. So we tell the story in two time periods, the 50s and the 90s, 40 years later, when they record the album. So when we're in the 50s, we are telling the story of how they met, how we are seeing Omara's love for this kind of golden age music. It was already golden age in the 50s. And then she meets young Compay, young Ibrahim. This is Ibrahim Ferrer who we're talking about, who we're introducing here, who, as a young man, he connects with Omara through music, through sheer love of this kind of music, not the commercial style of music, the glitz and glamour, but...
So would we say it's folkloric, or its origins of folklore?
I would say, because we have a bit of danzón, bolero, like we have so many different styles of, I'm gonna say traditional.
Okay.
It's a bit of everything that we grew up with.
Okay, and we showed an image of Ruben, the young version of Ruben.
Yes, Picasso on the keys.
Yes, Picasso on the keys, and I just want to make sure we acknowledge him as well as a character in the show. So share a little bit about Ruben.
Yes, so basically the Ruben. Yes, so basically the three of them meet in our story, because it's not factual all throughout. The three of them meet in a rehearsal, and they invite Omara to come to the Buena Vista Social Club, where they're playing music freely. And that's where she then gets to realize that this music that has been calling her for so long has been there all along. And it's not just the commercial style of popular music that she's supposed to be singing, but that there's also something more rooted in tradition and ancestry.
And so then there's the young version of them and the older
Not
version.
so young.
Right, okay, not so young.
The not so young.
Yeah, the not so young. I was going to say
Yeah.
older, but yes, we'll be politically correct. The not so young, and that's when they actually recorded the songs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so what does that not so young narrative look like?
So we fast forward 40 years into Omar Portuondo already being the queen of feeling and going into retirement, so to speak. Hasn't sung in 6 years, but is brought back to record this album by producer Juan de Marcos, who actually helped us create, he was a part of the process of creating our Broadway show. And so he brings all these artists together to celebrate this kind of golden age music. Calls her, asked to be the singer who will bring everything together. And she ends up bringing, I kind of don't want to say, but
okay, no,
all
don't blow it, don't blow
Yes.
it. The idea is that we just share with everybody a little bit of the background of the story that's being carried on Broadway that is also backed up by all these really influential Latinos, because I know Lin-Manuel Miranda is
Yes.
one of the producers. I believe, who else? John Leguizamo, right,
Yes.
is one of the producers.
Yes.
And my friend Hugo Perez, I know, served as a consultant. He's the one that actually brought you here to us, and you know he's Mr. Cuba everything, porque cubano el mismo.
It's so important. It is so important to bring these voices and these stories to light, to be celebrated. It's such a, we need to show the world a bit of these pockets of culture and richness that. I'm Panamanian, and I am so honored to be able to be on stage telling a Cuban story. It feels like it's sisterhood, brotherhood, and we need to embrace that. We need to celebrate these stories, bring them to life, and I'm so thankful that audiences keep coming to see our show, sharing it with their loved ones, and I can promise you that you leave that theater a changed person.
I love it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And yeah, que viva la latinidad.
Que viva la latinidad.
Yeah.
Sí.
Well, thank you for bringing it here.
Muchas gracias, truly.
Oh my gosh, Ilda Mason, how delightful is she? Okay, well, you're gonna see her over there haciendo su cosa on Broadway at the Buena Vista musical, the Buena Vista Social Club musical, that is. And if you're interested in more information, you can visit buenavistamusical.com, and you can also follow them on Instagram. It is still on Broadway, mi gente, so ve y baila. And on Instagram, you can follow them at Buena Vista Musical, and for more on Ilda Mason, you can follow her at ildamason.com. All right, stay tuned. There's more open when we return. Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. So today our Open Artist Spotlight shines on a gentleman who is often described as a writer's writer with a voice and talent for storytelling. His performances are consistently moving. Hailing from Westchester, New York, this six-time Nuyorican Slam champ and winner of the Brick 2025 February Slam has numerous accolades to his name, too many for us to mention. But he's also a producer at the Modern Poet NYC and was published in the 2025 spring edition of Milk Press by Poetry Society of New York. His unique artistry is rooted in his experiences dealing with spirituality, mental health, love, grief, and heartbreak. Everyone, please welcome today's open artist, songwriter, performer, poet, and actor, Marcus Stokes. Hey.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Mr. Grand Slam champ. Oh my gosh. You really leave an impression on people.
I'm trying.
OMG. So let's talk about the consciousness that you insert into your work, because it seems like that's the impact of your work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
Just kind of having some people are born with just a feeling that like there's more than we're being told as far as information, and there's a bunch of different religions, and wanting to know more about my ancestry and the different spiritual practices that they had. And also experiencing grief young, it made me question religion and God and who are we, where do we come from, where are we going after this, and I think that's drew me to the arts, and I like to express that way.
And then the way you share it, it's almost like you modernize it in a way that the next generation can grasp.
Definitely. I think especially when you talk about poetry, there's almost like this academic barrier, and the beautiful thing about spoken word, especially even like the slam community, is that we're trying to talk to everyone. We're trying to get that point across to everybody. And when you look at like the history of poetry and how it ties in with like politicism and revolutionary topics, you got the last poets, you got Gil Scott Heron, you've got Nikki Giovanni, et cetera, like that's always been a part of our culture. So I think it's important to make sure that we don't lose the people that we're trying to teach, and speak to them in the language that we speak.
Right, and so having been a champion, right, there's something that on numerous occasions, like you keep winning, right? That's my chosen word, winning, right? Yeah. And so what is it about the way you're merging the topics that you think is resonating so deeply?
I think my background, I've been rapping. I started doing poetry in the beginning of 2024, but I've been rapping since I was, early 2000s, since I was a child. So my experience with just lyricism and metaphor and knowing how to bend words and how to, create moments that get people excited. It's like, well, if I take that aspect, that skill, and then I incorporate certain information in a way that Tony K. Bambara has this quote, make revolution irresistible. And it's just like, if we're gonna get everybody, if we're gonna get the community at large, it's got to be entertaining. You know how people are, like we got to make it entertaining, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you have the skill to make it entertaining and you put the information in there, that's how you can really grab people. So I feel like that's important, and I think that's something that has been helping me win.
Yeah, helping you win.
Yeah.
That's right. Win is the word. It's the word. I like that word.
I love it.
So, just based on the fact that you're saying, you identify as a lyricist and that rap is your origins, right? Having the Universal Hip Hop Museum coming to the Bronx and hip hop being its own culture. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know, but the Bronx is going to have the first hip hop school.
I wasn't aware.
Beginning in the fall of 2026.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I mean, it
look
hasn't
into
been
that.
publicly announced, but oh well.
There you have it.
Don't worry, we're gonna have the principal on. And I'm saying all of this because, again, going back to the culture and the language and having being able to grab the attention of the next generation in a way that they're comprehending and retaining whatever it is that's being taught to them because of the, like you said, I don't really want to refer to it as attention span, but we do have an attention span situation with the social media and the way people are really ingesting information.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so the question is, coming from that background of knowing that, okay, rap is really my foundation, and making it your mission to inform individuals through that genre, what would you say to someone who is looking for a life in that career, career in rap or hip hop, and just the impact that it has I guess I'm really talking with regards to the mindfulness in your practice.
I would tell them to make the art that they like. A lot of times we're, especially like hip hop, we're chasing whatever the modern sound is and whatever's trendy, whatever's popular. And I understand, because you want to make money, and it being an art, there's a reason there's the phrase starving artist, right? So there is that, but if I would say don't like do things different than how I did it. Make sure that you have a way to make money. Stay in school. I'm always a supporter of that, because that's not what I did, and I had to suffer the consequences for it. So I would say make sure that you can make money no matter what. And these days with the internet, there's a lot of different opportunities to do that. But and that allows you to freely make the type of art that's true to your spirit, and that's what's going to resonate with people when you're doing something that's pure, what you like, and comes from like your real spirit. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's where the win comes.
Absolutely.
Right, because you're talking about whatever financial constraints or whatever that is, or delays, we'll say.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
Delays. Yeah, we're talking about delays.
Yeah.
But everything, it happens for a reason anyway. At least that's what I believe. But
Absolutely.
The idea of understanding that. Almost like the subject matter that we were just discussing regarding mothers, in how the media landscape portrays a certain destination that everybody should be aiming towards, and then people live their life chasing it versus living in the moment of what it is that fulfills, and that's where the win comes from.
Absolutely.
Right, and so you said something about stay in school and don't. Find ways to make money. Like, what exactly did you mean by that?
So, like, I dropped out of college real early in the pursuits of what I wanted to do as a creative, and I just feel like I was a little stubborn. And speaking of mothers, like not listening to my mother. If I had figured out a way to do both at the same time, I didn't need to go all in on the music. I felt like I did, and everything in divine timing. My path is my path, but I also want to make sure that people don't have as hard of a path as I did, because you can do both. You can do both, and even if it's not trade school, get a trade. Just get something where you can make money and you can sustain yourself as you pursue the arts.
Beautiful. That's wonderful advice. And so, what are you going to be presenting for us before we go?
I'm presenting a poem titled "Nostalgia Ultra."
Yeah. I can't wait. I hope you guys can't wait, because I'm looking forward to it. Marcus Stokes, everyone, and stay tuned, because when we return, he's going to perform one of his original poems on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back here to perform Nostalgia Ultra. Let's give it up for Marcus Stokes.
I know they say don't bring sand to the beach, but at this age, the sands of time are impossible for me to separate from my clothes. I'm past hand-me-downs, currently at, let me give you a hand. Pause. I mean, applause, proud of y'all. See, I don't look at the youth with disdain, expecting the next generation to appreciate the nostalgia of my childhood. It's insane without the context of my childhood. Oh, my Wi-Fi-less childhood. When the only cell on my hip was in my hip. When the only chip on me wasn't in a phone, it was on my shoulder, in my bodega, 50-cent wise, when I was none the wiser. These times were the best of times, they were the worst of times, yet somehow I miss both. Interrogated by the youth, I reflect, off the fleck as I reflect, dragging a cigarette, something you wouldn't get. Unless you've seen a new episode of Fresh Prince premiered live on the NBC, or better yet, watch the You People Network. I was outside when UPN the bed, back then, when playing R. Kelly was something you didn't do in secret. Cosby reruns ran frequent, Heathcliff playing pop, no pills pop, just pudding before God and Google merged companies. We'd ask Jeeves before Jesus. Genius meant genius and not some person that works at Apple. I know people that ran out of time before you was in time out. We have to ram. But sometimes that was the only way to find out. We touched the ground, grounding before they were naming it. Nobody had to tell us to touch grass. We were laying in it, relay racing in it. You missed a new episode of your favorite show, you had to wait a minute. Ray J made wait a minute. Jadakiss said, why did Bush knock down the towers? I said, wait a minute. Could it be the smell of Egyptian musk on 125th Street DVDs? 5%ers on the radio calling each other God was mainstream. No LCD screens, only tablets. It was Flintstone. You either had to be bored or read. I heard Biggie breathe. He passed. I breathed. Puffy fell off that bike. I believed he grieved. Now I don't know what to believe. But I do believe that these children are the future. Not because they've shown any particular promise, just that's the way time works. No, I kid. And I believe that these kids are also the past, the ancestors reborn on earth to heal the hurt, to generate a generation sans the generational curse. James Baldwin said, I cannot be a pessimist because I'm alive. So if the children aren't the future, I'd rather believe the lie. I'd rather opt for optimists than opposing opposition. Nah, I'm with them. I'll bring my sand to the beach because time is money. And I'm blessed to have a New York minute to spend.
Yes. Look at you walking off the stage. You ain't walking off the stage. Marcus Stokes, everyone. Yeah, we do the finger snap. Yes. Oh, what a wonderful way to end this show. Once again, you guys, for more information on Marcus, go to his website, which is 21gramsmusic.com, or follow him on Insta at _Marcus_Stokes. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through. To you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out this episode throughout the weekend and 24 hours a day at Bronxnet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin. From all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. And, you know, as we conclude this episode and this month, I am wishing my ladies a happy Women's History Month, all right? Be love, everyone. Adios.